Jake and Daniel had been planning their summer camping trip for weeks. They wanted somewhere remote, far from cell towers and crowds. So they drove deep into the hills of Oregon. Choosing a forest, Jake's uncle once warned him about something about strange echoes in the trees. The first night was quiet, but Jake couldn't sleep. He felt watched. The trees rustled even when there was no wind. At one point he swore he saw a shadow move behind a pine tree, but when he looked again, it was gone. He didn't tell Daniel. Not yet. The next night they built a bigger fire. Still, Jake felt cold. Not the kind of cold from the weather, but something else. That night, Daniel whispered, "I think someone's walking around our tent." Jake froze. They both listened. Crunch, crunch, then silence. In the morning, they unzipped the tent, expecting maybe animal tracks. Instead, there were muddy footprints. Bare feet. One set. They circled the tent, then stopped. No return prints. No sign of anyone walking away. Just one way in. Then nothing. That evening, Jake tried to convince Daniel to leave. But Daniel laughed it off. "It's just nerves," he said. That night, Jake heard whispering right outside the tent. Low, raspy, his heart pounded. He shook Daniel awake, but by then it was silent again. Jake didn't sleep at all. He stared at the tent wall, frozen. At 3:12 a.m., the tent's zipper moved halfway down. Slowly, carefully. He didn't breathe, but it stopped. Then came that sound again. Crunch, like someone walking away, or maybe circling. At sunrise, Daniel was gone. His sleeping bag and backpack were still there, but no Daniel. Jake screamed his name until his voice cracked. There were no footprints leading out of the campsite, just one muddy trail into the trees. And then it ended. Jake was never the same. He told police, rangers, even a psychic. No one believed him. No body was ever found. But sometimes Jake says he still hears that whisper right outside his window. Always on the same summer night, every single year. Tyler had been driving for hours. It was a slow summer night, just after 1 a.m. Most people were home, but he needed the extra money. His Uber app pinged pickup just off a rural highway near an abandoned gas station. As he pulled up, he saw a woman in a white dress standing alone. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. Just opened the back door and got in. "You Emily?" Tyler asked. She nodded. But there was no phone in her hand, no sign she had ever requested the ride. "Where to?" he asked. She mumbled something like "just drive." Confused, Tyler hesitated, but then started moving. He glanced at the rearview mirror. She was staring straight ahead, hands folded, not blinking. The GPS tried rerouting. "Take a U-turn," it said. But the woman whispered, "Keep going." Tyler looked back. Her eyes were still locked on the windshield, so he kept driving. They'd passed trees, fog, no houses. He hadn't seen another car in 20 minutes. The silence in the car was unbearable. Tyler turned on the radio. Static. Switched stations. More static. "You okay back there?" he asked. No answer. He looked in the mirror again. She wasn't there. Panicked, Tyler slammed the brakes. The back seat was empty, but the door had never opened. He jumped out, looked around. Nothing, just the road and dark trees. His phone buzzed. A message. "Thank you for the ride." But it wasn't from any app. When he got home, Tyler couldn't sleep. He searched "Girl in White Dress Highway." An article, popped up. Emily Darden, age 22, last seen near an abandoned gas station in 2003. She never made it home. The photo in the article? The girl from his back seat. Tyler never drove Uber again, but he sometimes drives that road. Once a year around the same date, just to see. And sometimes when he looks in his rearview mirror, he swears he sees her there, staring ahead, silently, waiting. Ben, Chris, and Logan were bored. It was a hot summer night, and they were staying near Whispering Pines Lake. Chris suggested they check out the abandoned lake house rumor was. An entire family vanished there in the 80s. Just for an hour, he said. The lake was still. The house looked more like a shadow swallowed by trees. Windows were broken. The door creaked. They stepped inside with only phone flashlights. Dust everywhere. No furniture. Just silence and the smell of rot. In the hallway hung a crooked painting, a smiling family of 4. Ben reached out to straighten it, and the entire frame dropped with a loud crash. At that exact moment, all 3 phones glitched. Flashlights flickered. Logan cursed. Chris laughed nervously. Just bad wiring. But Ben pointed to the photo again. Guys, wasn't the dad smiling before? The father's face in the portrait now looked twisted, angry. Logan wanted to leave, but the front door wouldn't open anymore. They went upstairs to look for another way out. Footsteps echoed behind them, but no one else was there. In the upstairs hallway, the lights suddenly turned on. The power had been cut off for decades. Chris muttered, "This isn't funny anymore." At the end of the hall was a girl, pale, barefoot, maybe 7 years old, standing still, head tilted. "Are you lost?" Ben asked. She didn't answer. She only raised her hand and pointed behind them. They turned. Nothing. When they looked back, she was gone. They ran down the stairs to the door. This time it opened. Cold air rushed past them. As they reached the car, all 3 saw the lake house lights turning on, one by one, though no electricity remained in the building. A year passed. Logan disappeared on the same date, near the same lake. His body was never found. Ben and Chris never returned. But sometimes people say they see 4 silhouettes in the window of the lake house at night, smiling.